Welcome to this year's edition of the NFHS Football Video Training Series. We're studying the National Federation of High School Football Rules and Five-Man Mechanics. This is our video training collection, sponsored by the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, the AAHSO, helping good officials get better. Our technical advisor for the rules is George Demetrio. Greg Dallum is our line of scrimmage technical advisor. Senior technical advisor is Dax Hill. This video is produced by Matt Bivens. Executive producer is Walt Coleman. I'm your host, Todd Allen. Hi, Todd Allen. If you've been following this video series for any time at all, you know how much I rely on the Reading Study Guide, and I couldn't wait to dive into the rule changes, push through a reread on penalty enforcement, and walk through one of my favorite chapters, Chapter 6, The Kicking Game. The book, laid out in 12 easy-to-read chapters, takes the technical rules and breaks them down in fun chapters, complete with quiz questions and answers that will build your knowledge and challenge your application. Pick up the 2022 version of the Reading Study Guide for the NFHS rules. As a football official, when you're through learning, you're through. We are going to start 2022 with the helmet off play. And there is a lot to unpack in this play because let's first watch the play together. And we're going to keep our eye on number 58 here on the lined up across from the center, a nose tackle here. And as this play runs on, we see that he just gets a double team. And I can't see from either the end zone shot, which I'll show you, or this shot here, anything like hands to the face. It looks like the offensive player pushes the helmet off. It just comes off. And then there's this pursuit and tackle here on the outside. And you'll notice that there are no flags on this play. I want to back up because I want to show you this too. This is a fourth down play. A lot to unpack. And as much as there is to this play, there is subsequent conversation with the coach. And I think that we actually bury ourselves a little deeper because, again, there is no flag on this play. And it's important now that we review a helmetless player, and that's contained in 9.6.4G, illegal participation, which basically just says a player whose helmet comes off is prohibited from continuing to participate beyond the immediate action in which he's engaged. And like I said, this is 9.6.4G. If a player's helmet comes off and he quickly puts it back on, he still may not continue to participate in the play. If the result of the helmet coming off is a foul by his opponent, then he does not have to come out of the play for a down. But if there is no flag for an illegal hands to the face or a face mask or some action which knocked the player's helmet off, then he also has to sit out for a play. Let's go back and look at this again. Here's the player I want you to see, 58. And you can see this engagement here. I'll run this in slow motion, give you a couple of good looks at it to see if you see something that I missed here, but then the continuing action here. So I want to back this up. I want to know, so the continuing action to me is this engagement with this lineman. This is the part of the play that he can continue through. But once this block is over, either the offensive man lets him go because he knows he can't participate in the play, or the defender creates separation. There can't be a second block by the offensive player, and the defensive player can't pursue or chase the play at all. He's just basically out of the play. So we watch this again here, and you can see that he does get in. And this just looks terrible, just incredibly awkward. And I said we buried ourselves with comments from the coaches because as a fourth down play, obviously there's an interval here where there's a stop in the action. And the coach comes to the sideline official and says, hey, that player's helmet came off. And there's some discussion about that. It just doesn't go well because if we miss it, like we don't see it, which there's no way on this play, I backed this thing up, there's no way we don't see this, right? So we can't defend it. What we just have to admit that we didn't process this play quickly enough to get this penalized. And I'm going to go out on a limb here that says in this dead ball interval here, when the action's all stopped, we get together and figure this out. It will look terrible if we throw a flag late for this foul, but it will be correct. And I would support a late flag and a 15-yard live ball penalty that extends the downs for the offense and awards them a new series. It's not an automatic first down, but you can tell with the yard to gain here that 15 yards would be enough to create a first down, and that would get us out of this. Like I said, you got a choice here. Once you realize this play is over and you didn't throw a flag, you can look right or you can be right. And I think when at the end of the play, when you have to defend what you did, I would much rather go to the defensive coach and say, yes, coach, this is a late flag. We did have to talk about this, but this is clearly a foul. It's a safety rule. Your kids have to know when they lose their helmet that they cannot participate in the play. And this 15-yard penalty should have been enforced, and this is an improperly officiated call. Make sure Friday night that you cover with your crews this Friday night. You cover all the illegal participation, and there are 12 acts that create illegal participation in the National Federation of High School Rules. Talk about those. If you have the Reading Study Guide, Table 10.2, you can check that out on page 137 of the Reading Study Guide, and I'll give you a look at it here in this video. This is a really interesting play, and there's going to be a lot to unpack here. Let's talk for a minute about coverage and keys first. We'll start with the line judge. He's going to take this slot receiver here who's in the backfield, and then we've also got 32. This tight end is hand down on the ground. He is in an eligible position with an eligible number, so we know that makes him ineligible. He also belongs to the line judge. Head linesman's got this single wide receiver up here on top. His secondary coverage is going to be the running back, or the H-back here with the quarterback, and the back judge has got this slot receiver, and this play is just going to be a misdirection. Everything looks like it's coming to the line judge's side of the field, so the shotgun quarterback's just going to take it and whip it right out to the outside. And the original key for the head linesman goes inside, and this block occurs right here. And the back judge, you're going to see, throws a flag for a blindside block. There's some problems with the verbiage, but the other thing I want to talk about here is our progression in pass coverage is man, ball, and zone. And you can see this is the zone here that both the back judge and the head linesman are working. So there's a lot of things that I like about what the back judge did here. The big learning opportunity, I think, on this play is we have to have a discussion with the head linesman. Head linesman, on this blindside block, you have to have an opinion because this is your key. And we've got the back judge throwing a flag on your key. So it's incumbent upon the back judge to know that he did throw a flag on the head linesman's key, and then go to him after the play and say, hey, I had a blindside block. What did you see? And I think the back judge has got to go with what the head linesman says on this. If the head linesman said, I didn't see anything, then obviously you got a good foul. But if the head linesman tells us, hey, that player got around on it, it was not a blindside block, it wasn't forcible, whatever the conversation is, there has got to be that conversation. I think that's the learning aspect of this play. Kudos for the back judge throwing this foul. I just want to make sure that we're having a discussion, because we did have a discussion with the coach about this and it digressed very quickly. But it's important that if you throw a flag on someone else's key, you have to have a conversation before we enforce this penalty, because the most important thing is that we get the call right. I want to talk for a minute about defensive pass interference, and we do have a Week 4 defensive pass interference segment coming up. We're also going to talk about offensive pass interference in Week 5, so lots coming up on this topic, but here's a good play to look at, and I want to show you this wide shot first, and if you look at this, man, there's just not a lot here, and you kind of wonder what happened. But then we got this end zone shot too I want to take a look at. And good position by the back judge, basically standing still, very little movement, and very good focus and concentration. And look at this right here. Let me zoom in on that. You see the defender with the ball in the air, grabs the jersey, pulls it, there's a stretch. There is a restriction here. Grab and restrict. And the back judge correctly does rule on this as defensive pass interference. So kudos for that, but I'm going to beat you up a little bit too, because after you throw this flag, good job of staying with the players and keeping your head up on a swivel. But as soon as the ball hits the ground, we should be giving a stop the clock signal. And we do pan up the field here and see that none of the officials are stopping the clock. And good mechanic to get into. Make sure when you have an incomplete pass, you are the covering official, you do blow your whistle, and you do indicate an incomplete signal. In this case, we're just happy with a stop the clock. And you see the referee running down in the wide shot here, and this is a great time to use a preliminary signal. The referee doesn't have to do all this running. A preliminary signal from the back judge, the very abrupt pass interference signal with both hands, and then a point toward the defense, and the referee can just stop right here on an incomplete pass. There is absolutely no case where the offense would decline this foul. You can just stand right where you are, face the press box, turn on the mic. Pass interference on the defense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. The results are a first down. because we know in Federation it's not an automatic first down, but we did see that this was 1st and 10, so we do know that this foul will give them a first down. Real quick, concise, the umpire and the line of scrimmage officials can begin the penalty enforcement phase of this. We can get the chains moved. Just a really, really smooth operation when you do that. This running down the field and running back and just takes too long to enforce these penalties, especially on something as clear and obvious as this. This is the bag judge. Correct call for defensive pass interference. The correct category, grab and restrict. That is it for this week 1 training video. Thanks for sticking with me until the end. I want to remind you to hydrate. Not only keep your eye on the players, think about their safety, but also yourself. The day before a game, you need to start hydrating so that if you get out there and it's particularly humid, and we know how fast the weather can switch this time of the year, if it's humid, your body's ready for the conditioning, and get water between timeouts and scores and quarters and things like that. Keep an eye on the players, but also take care of yourself. Thank you for what you do. It's really, really important. I also like to mention this disclaimer. There's no one on this training video that we're making fun of or trying to humiliate or embarrass. It's just an opportunity to look at situations, take a critical evaluation, look at ways that we can improve, think about how we can get better. Ultimately, what we want to do is give these high school athletes a perfect football game, and then we need you to get better next week. Start out this week perfect and be even better next week, and that's the secret to good officiating. Here's my email address, toddallen65@gmail.com. I'd love to hear how your crew watches the videos, or what you do in your pregame with the videos, or through your week of study, how we're helping you, or what we could do maybe differently that might help you more. We're always interested in your feedback. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. We're on a goal to get to 3,000 by week 5, and your clicking that subscribe button could help. For the Arkansas Association of High School Officials, this is Todd Allen saying I hope to see you on the field real soon.